Welcome to another presentation at the East Trade Winds, hosted by Bernie Franzgrote and Wayne Pratt. The presentation today is titled Delve Deep and Illuminate Client Needs. Our guest is Catharine O'Leary from Smart Quiz Solutions. Looking to attract better leads and turn conversations into conversions? Meet Catharine O'Leary, the Quiz Queen, founder of Smart Quiz Solutions and the Client Intelligence Agency. With 30-plus years of experience helping Fortune 100 giants like Apple, Pepsi, and HP, Catharine now empowers solopreneurs and service-based businesses to grow using smart, AI-powered quiz funnels. Her mission? To replace outdated lead generation tactics with engaging, insight-driven tools that connect you with the clients, so you can grow your business with confidence and clarity.
My name is Catharine O'Leary. I am here to ask a question. How many people had a BlackBerry? A BlackBerry smartphone? BlackBerry, everybody remember BlackBerry? How many people know a BlackBerry? Okay. At least you know it. I used to work at BlackBerry. In fact, I worked at BlackBerry when all hell broke loose. So I'm here to spread the word of how not to be BlackBerry. Because BlackBerry, there's a little bit of a perfect storm that went on there, but let's talk about how to avoid being BlackBerry, because that was not fun for anyone. I can tell you that. I'm going to talk about intelligence loops. Again, I spent 30 years in corporate doing market research and consumer insights. What that means is that I spent a lot of time asking a lot of people a lot of questions, and then taking that information, finding the patterns in those answers to be able to help businesses actually serve the clients better. So whether Pepsi was trying to figure out who should be on the Super Bowl for the halftime show, or they were trying to figure out which two products to put together for July 4th, whether Apple was trying to figure out what the next iTunes launch would be or the next iPod launch would be. They would always go and they would ask clients. They would ask their clients about what they're using, what's working, what's not working, what they wished for. And then they take all that information and create some magic in the back end. What I found out as an entrepreneur myself is that, again, we don't tend to ask those questions. The Client Intelligence Agency was created to ask those questions. So I'm going to ask a question around growth. And this is a little bit of AI-enabled conversations. So for those of you who have not used AI or are just getting into AI, it's not crazy here. You become a prompt engineer, but AI is here to stay. And how do we use it to help us serve our clients better and get what I call more human-to-human time? So let AI do all the process and the kind of the stuff that on the back end that takes time, so that we can have time to do things like this, things like talking to people about what they need, what they want, and how we can help. And one of the things that AI has been really good at and really bad at the same time is creating content. You can do 365 posts in 12.2 seconds for your Facebook ads with ChatGPT. It's a lot of noise that has actually flooded the markets and has made it cracking through and getting through that noise a little more difficult. So how do we get a little bit more intentional? How do we get a little bit more focused on our message? How do we make sure that we're talking to our ideal clients about what they need and what their 3 a.m. question is? So what's waking them up at 3 a.m.? What is that conversation for them? This is something that BlackBerry missed. BlackBerry thought, if we build it, they will come. I actually had a conversation with one of the developers saying, we've got a 12 megapixel camera in the smartphone in the next one, just for soccer moms. And my immediate reaction was, did you ask soccer moms if that's what they wanted? That's just, obviously they do. They're at the soccer field. They're going to take pictures. It's like, we have a lot of work to do. So one of the things that BlackBerry didn't do well was listen. How many people have heard of funnels for your business where you're bringing leads in? And funnels are very linear. And as an economist, I love my linear paths, but that's not really how people behave. And that's not really how businesses are working now. So a funnel is you talk to a client, they get to a sale, and then it disappears from that. And this is one of the things that I think the businesses that are going to be super successful and scale easily, they're going to go beyond the sale. You need to go beyond the sale and actually talk to your clients after the sale. Again, something BlackBerry didn't do. They sold the product and then it was all hands off. It was Verizon's problem. It was T-Mobile's problem. What the newer model, I think, is more loops. So as somebody comes in and you're talking to them and you're talking to them as an ideal client, then how do you keep that conversation going, build up momentum, understand what they're using your services for, understand how you're doing, what your client satisfaction is, how you can improve, take that improvement into the next loop. And as you're talking to the next cohort or the next group of people that you want to be working with, how do you improve your messaging? How do you improve your services so that you can sell more, so that you can get more information? And it becomes a self-perpetuating loop as opposed to point A to point B and then it stops. That seems abrupt. What we want to build is client relationships, because that's actually what's going to drive your business forward, especially in an AI age. It's going to be that connection, that authentic connection to your clients. And now what businesses are doing, especially service-based businesses in the online space, so coaches, consultants, and speakers, we're spending a ton of time, like 80% of our time, at the upfront, the lead, like the top of funnel, at the lead generation side of things. And then once we get the sale, we spend about 20% of our time actually keeping our clients, which is, in my opinion, backwards. It's 5 times more expensive to get a new client than it is to actually keep a client. So we should be spending 80% of our time in those relationships with people that have bought from us so that they are happy, they stay, they spend more, and 20% of our time topping things up, if you will. Does that make sense to everyone? Perfect. So I talk about what I call business intelligence, and it's the 5 Ps. We're going to go through this in fairly quick succession. So when I talk about where businesses tend to start, it's in production. So what you create, these are your offers, these are your emails, this is your content, this is your courses, this is your social media, it might be phones, it might be iTunes subscriptions, whatever it is you're producing so that you can attract your ideal clients and serve them. But that's only the first layer. That's one of 5 Ps. This is where about 80% of businesses start and stop. You produce, and then hopefully you sell, and then that's it's very transactional. So how do we move things more to a relationship? Start prompting. This is where things like surveys or forms or applications, an onboarding form, a quiz can come into place. So when you start asking questions around what are you struggling with? What's going on? Self-assessment on a speaker, like how ready are you for the stage? Maybe it's what's your referral readiness score? Maybe it's some sort of a stress measure or tips and tricks to bring your nervous system into alignment, whatever that looks like. But is it interactive? Do people get to ask you questions and do they get to tell you what's going on with them? And the thing here is, and this is where AI enabled comes in, is it doesn't have to be one-on-one questions. You're getting signals from your clients all day long, from the DMs that they're sending you, from the customer service inquiries that they're sending you, from the fact that they're not talking to you at all, your open rates, your reply rates, the webinar show up rates, like you're getting signals all the time. In fact, we're getting so much data, we don't know what to do with it. And we don't even realize that we're getting these signals. So how do we hone in and how do we get really laser focused on those signals so that we are listening to our clients? BlackBerry, people were screaming at us. We want apps. We want touchscreens. Like people were like chanting outside of the headquarters, bring us touchscreens, right? It was ridiculous. I don't know how we didn't. Like, I know how they didn't listen. They were trying to buy a hockey team. A different story. But like, you might be getting more subtle conversations, more subtle signals. And if you miss those signals, your competitors may not be. So how do we tune in and how do we capture those signals? And how do we really understand the patterns then? This is where like the kind of market research diabolical plan comes in. So you're getting all this information and it's overwhelming. How do we put it all into a system so that the patterns start to emerge? So that you can see, oh, that's what's going on. Soccer moms don't want a 10, 12 megapixel camera. They want waterproof because it's raining at the field that day. Well, whatever that is, what is the pattern that, your consumers tell you? Because here's the other thing that used to drive people nuts about market research is that your consumer can't tell you what the next widget is. They can't tell you what the next best thing is. They don't know. They don't have the crystal ball into that, but they can tell you what they're struggling with. They can tell you what they wish, like what I dream of. I just wish I could. If only this would happen. So how do you take that and immerse it into your world to help serve your clients better? Because once you understand the patterns and once you understand exactly what your ideal clients are needing and wanting, you can start personalizing. That's where the name of the game is going, is in personalization at scale. And this is where the AI can really help you out, right? You can really get very clear on Anna needs this, right? Based on all of the signals that she's been telling me, this is her next step, right? And you can build a system that actually helps Anna not only understand what that next step is, but help her actually achieve it faster. So what you're now dealing with and what you're able to provide is faster transformation for your ideal clients so they get to their end goal faster, quicker, more efficiently so that they can move on to the next end goal. So you're serving at a higher level, and that's performance. So now you get the testimonials, now you get the badges, now you get the proven results, and you also get all that information that says this is what people need. So when you go back into the loop and start looking at your emails and your offers and your sales scripts and your customer service, you can inform that next loop with all of the great learnings that you've. And you start again. And then, okay, you know what? I've now tweaked. I've now changed my offer, or I've created new offers. You ask consumers about what that is looking like for them, how that's serving them, how they're struggling with challenges and so on. Understand the patterns, able to personalize again, and then rate your performance. And then you start the loop again. So eventually what you end up with is this kind of flywheel or momentum. And as you come down the loop in personalization and performance, it's fueling the momentum of the next loop, and you're driving revenue growth and business growth. But you got to get out of production mode. You got to get out of the bottom of the first loop so that you can actually create that momentum. Does that make sense to everyone? So in the AI enabled tools, AI is here. There's no sense in trying to think that it's going to go away. It's not. It's how do you create tools that help you and your clients get to their end goals in a way that utilizes their signals, helps you understand those, helps you create the patterns so that you can have more authentic human to human conversations. And that's what we do at the Client Intelligence Agency, whether that's understanding from a quiz, like just 5 questions gives you so much information about what your clients are thinking and doing and challenged with. So you've got all these signals. So how do we wrangle all into a manageable format so that you create a dashboard or you create the strategies that you need to actually go out and attract more clients, keep them longer so that they spend more, right? And you're serving. So brands that are doing this really well, and these are going in order. So in production, Nike is doing really well. It's very consistent in its output. It knows its brand identity. It knows its product, but it's productized. It's the shoes, it's the sneakers, it's the lifestyle a little bit. But they do the product well. When it comes to probing and asking and being behind the scenes and figuring out what's going on and what consumers are looking for, Amazon, hands down. So Amazon does incredibly well at that, probing, that understanding. When you think about patterns, what do you watch next? Like Netflix. Netflix uses viewer information, viewer behavior, and they ask questions. If you've ever been on a Netflix show, do you like this? Do you want us to recommend more like this? They've got a whole back end that's able to deliver the content that you want, as opposed to what my sister wants or what my niece wants or whatever that looks like. When it comes to personalization, Airbnb, really strong in understanding, hey, Catherine, in Orlando, you had this kind of an experience. You didn't rate it very well. We want to like make sure that you have your next experience in Miami is a little different. Here's some different options for you. And they tell you. And then Apple, quintessential for performance, they have the whole ecosystem. One of my favorite stories about working with Apple and when Steve Jobs was there was the fact that iPhone was ready to go in his head about 10 to 12 years before he actually launched it. And the reason was because he wanted iTunes to be part of the culture. He wanted the ecosystem. He needed the digital content to make the iPhone something different than everyone else had. So he created iTunes he released iTunes and built iTunes up before he released the iPhone. And then he came out with there's an app, which BlackBerry ignored because people don't need apps. So gold standard, Spotify. They do all of the 5 Ps. They've got the production, the personalization, like all the way through.
Unlock the full potential of networking with East Trade Winds. Are you eager to connect with our esteemed guest speaker and delve deeper into the ever-expanding universe of connections? Simply scan the QR code now and embark on a journey of endless opportunities. Join us at East Trade Winds, where we gather online via Zoom every Tuesday from 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, you're welcome to connect with us. Seize the moment, register for free, and start exploring today. Fancy sharing your insights as a guest speaker? We're looking for you. Reach out to Wayne Pratt to ignite your speaking journey. Email him at wayne@motivateyou.ca or connect with Wayne on LinkedIn. Don't wait, take action, and be a part of a global community that's shaping the future of business networking.